Tucker Carlson came out with a monologue the other day. The highest rated man on cable news of all time, right? He did another one of those, iconic, infamous monologues. And this time he came out with some interesting points, I'd say, and definitely something that I agree on to some extent. So here, I'll play the clip for you guys.
And finally, we must never forget that in the end, the Republican Party exists to serve the interests of normal people, ordinary people. Middle-class families are the core of this country. They are our hope for the future, our only hope. And yet both parties have shamelessly abandoned them. Middle-class families have no national spokesman. They have no lobby in Washington. Republicans pretend to be their champion. You know by now that they are not. Instead of improving the lives of their voters, the party feeds them a steady diet of mindless symbolic victories, partisan junk food designed to make them feel full even as they waste away. Who cares how many Benghazi hearings we have? We're supposed to care. Why should we? How did Peter Strzok's text messages become more important than saving American jobs from foreign nationals who are taking them? It is lunacy. We fall for it every time. And to the extent...
All right, so there's two parts to this. I think the larger idea of, let's not blindly take sides and divide and rule and be focused on useless things that don't serve any ordinary people, just for the sake of, being right or being on the right side of the aisle, in your mind, is useless. And I say this even though me and Tucker and I disagree on the way we should approach certain issues and come to solutions, but what we don't disagree on is that there are problems that need to be fixed, and there's only through dialogue and through discussion between two sides that are open and open for compromise and open to change their minds, that we can actually achieve solutions that we desire, and that help ordinary people. And so the second point that he makes, which I disagree with a little bit more, is how he has all this very nice sounding populist rhetoric, and then it was all good until he said immigration. And so you channel all these emotions, you direct all of it towards immigration, when the reality is that the issue is far more complex than that, and I think Tucker knows that. I hope he knows that, at least, because that's pretty dangerous otherwise. But so there's much more to the issues in America than immigration, right? So here, I'll list a few for you. The hopelessly inefficient and expensive healthcare system you have, or the horrible trade deals that you do with other countries, like the TPP, for example, which basically just screwed the US and gave China a bunch of jobs and helped out big corporations, because now they have far bigger margins, so now they can pay their shareholders, right? So not me and you and the ordinary people, but they're already rich shareholders, and give their CEOs bigger bonuses. Just the normal stuff that helps out the economy, right? Obviously not. So you outsource jobs, and of course there's also an element of automation, which has taken many jobs that previously would have been manned. But listen, I think that as you, at least so far, as you automate jobs, you also create new jobs, especially in R&D, and those kind of more, I think, better paying jobs, actually. So I don't know how. I mean, it's no secret that automation is taking a lot of jobs, but let's not forget that the types of living conditions people had back in like the 18th century, 19th century, when it was still all like factory workers, like they're being paid horribly little, and a lot of them were in horrible living conditions. So yeah, let's just not make it seem like those were the good old days all the time. But Anyway, I think some people that say, "Oh, you can't agree with Tucker Carlson on anything," are kind of missing the point here. And I think the larger point is that obviously we can distinguish between his policies, which I disagree with on a lot of things, and that, you know, he wants tax cuts. I don't want tax cuts. He wants to repeal and he wants to remove Obamacare and just make it a completely free market system, which I think is horrible, and that's not how healthcare should be treated, because it doesn't help the people who need healthcare. So, because that's what we want from a market economy. From a market economy, is that through competition people benefit. But I don't think with healthcare that applies. But anyway, that's for a different day. So I think we can distinguish his policy from his identifying of issues, and the fact that through this whole divided political climate, people love to, you know, distract you from real issues. So, you know, you'll have like 20 million Benghazi hearings when you need like 2. Or you'll have, I don't know, just a bunch of stuff on Russiagate. I don't know, just a bunch of useless things that obviously you should know that these high-level scandals are important to know the essence of, but they shouldn't rule our politics. They shouldn't be